looking back up at the home, you get a really good appreciation of the overall scale, with the vineyards in the foreground and this home just sitting beautifully in the hill. From an architectural perspective, it just sits so nicely just looking above this natural landscape. I'm Dan Webster, Director at Webster Architecture Interiors, and this is Pippins. This project's located in Red Hill South on the Mornington Peninsula, southeast of Melbourne, and this particular property is for a holiday home for a family based in Melbourne. This home is set back quite away from the street, and so we needed to consider the overall property as part of the architectural experience, not just the facade of the home. We created this sense of entry and approach where we're not revealing the whole home, but we just wanted to give a glimpse of what is to come. So as you drive in, you see the corner of the roof popping over the shoulder of these man-made grass mounds, and it actually allows you to move down the levels of the site to the entrance level of the home, which does sit below the crest of the entry. So walking in the front door, you're confronted with this really wide gallery style entrance, which then frames the view directly in front of you out towards the bay. And this space then creates a pivot point for the overall floor plan. So to the right hand side, you have all the services. And so this is kind of the utility part of the space. To the left-hand side of the entrance, you then have a secondary bedroom wing, and this is set up with 3 bedrooms, all in a hotel-style suite in where there's robes, en suites, and a large space that it's big enough to be able to have a small lounge and a bed. As you continue on towards the framed view at the end of the corridor, you're then confronted with a choice of left or right, and towards the right is the master suite, which has this snug area, the master bedroom, the walk-in robe, and the ensuite. And in the main kitchen dining living space, you then have panoramic views out towards the bay, as well as heaps of glass towards the internal garden space. You're essentially surrounded by this beautiful glass aspect. And of an evening, when you can't see the view, there's sheer curtains that can then be pulled across this whole space to create this really beautiful sense of warmth and coziness. The clients were particularly interested in the design process and the methodology as to how we conceptualised and actually ended up with a final outcome. There were 2 elements that really dictated the overall layout and the form of this home. Firstly, it was around protection from the winds that howl up the hill from the bay. We also wanted to enable the views of the bay because it's the most striking aspect to this site. But from all these areas, you can access the view visually, but also spill out onto an entertaining space, either forward of the house or to the rear, but still gives you transparency through the whole home to the view. The layout of this home is in an X shape, which means that every facade of this house is on display at all times. So we really had to consider the various aspects of approach from the street and from around the property as to where you'd actually see the home from. Given the environment and the location, it needed to be really robust material, so there's nothing lightweight on the exterior. We've used a Krauss brick for the majority of the perimeter of the home, and this combined with the steel sitting directly above the brickwork, and this then is the separator between the brickwork and the concrete roof. The most significant part of this project is the roof. It's the most striking element, it's the biggest element, and as a single cost item, it was the largest aspect of the whole home. And one of my favourite aspects is the overlap between the 2 roofs, with the lower pavilion roof tucking in underneath the upper roof, and you get this really cool cross-section of the two concrete forms that you can see as they actually overlap together. I think this project is just a real summation of our ethos as a practice. At every aspect there's been collaboration that then enabled us to be able to achieve the simplicity in the form, and the materials that were then used didn't actually give itself an indication of time or space, but gives the indication that this home is here to stay for a long time.